Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a beautifully nice sunny day. It's the 17th meeting of the 146th Council of the Corporation of the City of St. Thomas. Are there any disclosures of interest from any of the members? Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Thank you very much. I am declaring a conflict with PD 33-26, ongoing item on our agenda. Continue to stay with the disclosure of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? None? Minutes.
Thanks, Your Worship. I have a motion that the minutes of the meeting held on April 20th, 2026 be confirmed. Moved by Councillor Herbert, seconded by Councillor Reimel.
Questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried.
Council now resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole to deal with the following business. First committee this evening is Strategic Direction and Development. The first item is proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 115 Edward Street follow-up report. I have a motion that report PD 3226 relating to proposed zoning bylaw amendment 115 Edward Street follow-up report be received for information, and further that council authorize staff to prepare a site-specific draft amendment to zoning bylaw 50-88 to permit the playing of bingo and accessory uses at 115 Edward Street in the City of St. Thomas. Moved by Councillor Kohler, seconded by Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried.
Next item is a proposed temporary use bylaw for 21 Phillip Street follow-up report. And just as a reminder, it's council's practice to read the resolution in the positive. So while the recommendation is staff are recommending against it, the motion will be read in the positive. I have a motion that report PD 3326 relating to proposed temporary use bylaw 21 Phillip Street follow-up report be received for information, and further that council approve the site-specific draft temporary use bylaw to zoning bylaw 50-88 to permit the provision of backyard swimming lessons as a home occupation on lands which may be described as Lot 26 on Registered Plan 286 in the City of St. Thomas. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Councillor Reimel.
I'll start. Anyway, I've got I just want to say that there's no question that the swimming lessons, provided by Ms. Dottie have been appropriate or of a good quality. It's not the issue at all about the swimming lessons, and it relates to the location of the business providing the swimming lessons, which is in her backyard. And St. Thomas is growing and expected to double in size in 25 years, and residential areas are becoming more dense. There are many examples existing in St. Thomas of very small backyards, and there's no standard size for a backyard. And the number of participants in the swimming lessons with the half-hour lesson and in 6 hours a day, this could be with only 3 people per lesson, is 6 children per hour, which could be over 6 hours, 36 children a day. So you're looking at probably at least 100 children per week. So that's a lot of activity in someone's backyard. And a temporary bylaw has no minimum time frame, while there is a 3-year maximum. So council can determine the time frame. And a temporary use bylaw applies to the property, not the owner. So if the property is sold during the time that the temporary use bylaw is still in effect, this temporary use bylaw would transfer to the new owner, who could then operate the same business in that backyard. And the transfer or the temporary use bylaw also allows for extensions to be requested under the Planning Act. Extension requests cannot be prevented, but they can be refused by council when submitted. But a new owner, also with the transferred temporary use bylaw, would also have the ability to ask for extensions. So it's just a concern when we're looking at the temporary use bylaw. And if a temporary use bylaw is considered, given that the planning and building services don't recommend it, and the complaint was received in 2024, the swimming lessons also occurred in that year and in 2025, if you had a temporary use bylaw with an expiration date of October 30th, 2026, this would give the applicant time to wind down the business or find alternate arrangements to provide swimming lessons in a permitted location. And the timing would also ensure that this term of council resolves the issue.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks.
Councillor Herbert?
Thank you, Worship. Well, I think from day one, I'm not speaking for everybody. I think the majority felt that we should support swimming lessons. And we went to bat for Ms. Dottie and created a temporary bylaw, which I thought was pretty good. And I think in my mind, everything was well said and well documented. Well, then when the minutes or planning department posted in our agenda that they've changed, they're changing some of their things. They want a second instructor. They want longer times. There's not sure about parking over at Central, if it's legal or not. And it just goes on, the changes that were made. So I think when we're into this situation where we're changing goalposts, like we really, I think, did a good job as council coming up with a temporary bylaw to make this work. And so off the top, I'm thinking now that, and the planning department has recommended we don't accept all these changes. And which I would think maybe in this situation, maybe we need two motions tonight to either accept or defeat this, or go back and take the temporary bylaw, which is what I thought was going to happen in the temporary bylaw before all these changes came into effect. So that's just a quick summation what I'm thinking. I still support the swimming. I support our temporary bylaw, but I guess we'd have to have a motion for the first one and yes or no, and a motion for the second one. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks. Further discussion? Mr. Clerk, would you make it clear to us? I know we're always voting in the positive, so if we vote yes on this, we are accepting the recommendation of our planning department, or we are not accepting it? Because I know there's a reversal to make it positive.
Yeah, so the motion's in the positive, Your Worship. So if council votes yes on this, they would be supporting the applicant and the application. If they voted no, the application would be turned down.
Okay. Further discussion or comments? Councillor Clark?
I'm confused a little bit here in terms of if we're accepting it, are we accepting the proposal that with the restrictions that were outlined by the planning department, where it's we're not accepting the second employee you had come back. The applicant had a number of things that were listed as Councillor Herbert mentioned, but we would be voting on the compromise. Is that correct?
Yeah, so through Your Worship to Councillor Clark, you'd be voting on the bylaw that staff have prepared, which is the compromise. I believe it's 3 students per lesson, limiting it to a person who regularly resides in the dwelling unit, with lessons running from Monday to Thursday between 8:30 to 5 and Fridays between 8:30 to 12.
Right. So
Thanks. So that just, for me, Jim, clarifies things that we wouldn't need it to do a second motion because, yeah. Thank you.
So a vote in the affirmative would be to accept the temporary zoning bylaw with the exceptions that have just been stated. A vote against it there would be no temporary zoning bylaw on that site. That's correct? Great. Councillor Reimel.
Just a question. So the temporary bylaw as arranged by staff would be, the expiry date would be 2028, right? May.
Yes, through Your Worship, the expiry date would be exactly, would be 2 years from now, so May 11th, 2028. Or sorry, 2 years from next week when the bylaw would be considered.
Councillor Herbert?
Thank you, Worship. So just clear in my mind, could you just repeat what we're voting on?
If you vote yes, we're accepting a temporary bylaw exception for 20 Phillip Street. That would have certain 3 years in its length. It would have a bunch of 2 years in length and would have a number of other exemptions or restrictions that a temporary bylaw can put in place. They're in there on your thing.
So the temporary bylaw is the one that the planning department put together, brought to
Right there in
council?
your, yeah,
And we have, okay, thank you.
okay. And a negative vote is no, we're not accepting a temporary zoning bylaw on that site at this time. Further questions or comments? Want to make sure you're all in the right place or all in the same place. All right. Well, then, all those in favor? That's 5. Have those opposed? That's 2. That's carried. We've put in place the temporary zoning bylaw for the next 2 years on 21 Phillip Street. Next item.
Thanks, Your Worship. Next item for the members' information is a notice from the Committee of Adjustment of a public meeting to take place by Zoom on May 14th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Regarding an application for consent by 287-2558 Ontario Inc. to sever 2 residential building lots and retain a 3rd residential building lot to facilitate the development of 3 single detached dwellings, each containing 3 additional residential units for a total of 12 units. And this is for a property at 161 Fairview Ave. Unless there are any further items into this committee from the members, we'll now move into community engagement and services. First item is introduction of chronologue for community engagement and environmental monitoring. I have a motion that report PR 1326 relating to introduction of chronologue for community engagement and environmental monitoring be received for information. Moved by Councillor Baldwin Sands, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments on the report? Councillor Baldwin Sands.
Thank you. I would like to ask for some comments from our staff, if I could, please. I posted this on social media. It's already up and operational. It's one of the great things I believe our city is doing in order to get people out and about in our community and identifies where they're actually recreating. So hopefully we can hear a little bit more from our staff.
Adrian, I think, please, go ahead. Somebody tell us all about chronologically something. Okay, yeah.
Yes, through your worship to Councillor Baldwin Sands. The chronologue is a bit of a community science experiment and kind of environmental tracker. That's something one of our staff came across online. And while it was posted on social media today, the report intended for tonight was to inform the council about the intents and that it's what it's used for, because I'm sure there will be questions from residents, and that it'll be focused solely on publicly owned property, not private property. And there is a website for the chronologue for our 2 locations. In this report, it states that one of the locations is at Jim Waite Park. That has since changed to Turtle Pond, the south side of Lake Margaret, just because at the Jim Waite location, there was private residence in the background for the photos. But there is a website that I'd be happy to share with everyone that shows a timeline of each photo that's taken on this infrastructure.
Super. Go ahead, Councillor Baldwin Sands.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing what the results are and to follow-up reports in the future of how successful this program is becoming. Thank you.
Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Worship. I think this is really a neat thing to do. It's pretty inexpensive. Are there any other municipalities that are doing this? It's just new to St. Thomas for some reason.
Through your worship to Councillor Herbert, there is one located in London in one of their green spaces. Otherwise, it's largely an American product at this point.
Councillor Taylor. I'm sorry, were you voting or you?
No.
Okay. I tried to give you another name there.
I was trying to identify who I was today.
Okay. And I could see where you'd get there. Yeah.
No, just one quick question. Are people able to pose in front of this, or is this this is just nature, not personal photos?
Through your worship to Councillor Taylor, the intent is to track the environment changes season through season, year over year. But as a user of Waterworks Park, my son is on the chronologue website holding a frog in front of one of the pictures currently. So it's not exclusive of people, but it's intended for the environment.
But we could all go stand in front of one of the cameras or where one of the cameras is looking at us. Right. Okay. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried. Beautiful.
Next item relates to alteration of user group for the Water Tower Mountain Bike Network. I have a motion that report PR 1426 relating to alteration of user group Water Tower Mountain Bike Network be received for information. And further, that council authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an amendment to the existing user agreement for the Water Tower Mountain Bike Network, effectively transitioning all rights, responsibilities, and liabilities from the Railway City Cycling Club to the Water Tower Mountain Bike Club. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Raimel.
Questions or comments? If I could just ask, I take it there's probably some crossover between these two groups? Yes?
Yes, Your Worship. The current president of the new Water Tower Mountain Bike Club was a previous member of the RCCC, and they just had a restructuring to focus solely on road cycling and split from their mountain bike sector.
Okay. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Unless there are any further items from the members under this committee, we will now move into infrastructure and civic operations. First report relates to the Green Lane landfill. I have a motion that report ES 1826 relating to the Green Lane landfill be received for information. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments? Councillor Wookie.
Thanks, Your Worship. I mean, this is one of those ones it's a big one, but it's not for a while yet.
Right.
And I'll be looking forward to seeing what comes of this over, if I'm lucky enough to be here after October, what happens with this, because like there's a real squeeze here, and you've listed the options very well, but I'm not sure there's any really easy ones here, but look forward to more updates. But for the general public, don't worry, we got someplace to put our garbage for another 9 years. After that, we don't know. And I'm sure Mr. DeLebeck will help us out figuring that out over time. Thanks, Your Worship.
Okay. Kevin, did you want to share anything? I recognize this is a piece off our unfinished business. It was brought up at council a number of months ago, just as a question, what's the length of time left on Green Lane? What would be our options? And you've done a great job of giving us a great deal of detail. So I'll let you fill it in, then I'll go to Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Preston. So that's basically it, is kind of just an update on the status of the Green Lane landfill. It's administered by the City of Toronto, and so they're going through updating their waste management strategy. Also looking at ways to extend that service life as well, so to push it beyond the 9 years that Councillor Wookie was referring to, but also what are the options. And so there's a lot of notice that's going to be required in order to do that, but that study that they're undertaking looks to be completed sometime in 2028, and then we'll have more information to be able to bring back to council at that point in time to see, what is the recommended strategy that they're planning to take with the Green Lane landfill.
Super. Councillor Taylor, then Councillor Kohler.
I think that answers most of my questions. I know that 9 years can go like that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that the City of Toronto is the one that's driving this expansion of the landfill, rather than us. We're sort of sitting in the background taking a ride, if that's an easy way to state that. But our use of the landfill is there as long as the site is open. So yeah, those 9 years, I'm just a little worried about that. We're sort of waiting until something happens. But I know that there is mention in here about, and I didn't mark it where it was, about using some of the products for burning, if I'm not mistaken, to try to generate some electrical, get rid of garbage that way. Was that part of the report as well? And how does who manages that, or who's driving that wagon?
Kevin?
Through the mayor to Councillor Taylor. So it's energy from waste contracts, and so that's one of the methods that the City of Toronto is looking at to reduce the amount that goes to the landfill, is through either incineration or making fuel for waste to energy type facilities to help do that. But the ECA condition on the Green Lane landfill is the important piece for us, is that it gives St. Thomas and Elgin area municipalities priority to that landfill. Landfills have certain service area territories, and so it's in our neck of the woods, and so that's why we have that priority before the City of Toronto purchased that back in I can't remember when they purchased it, 2017 or something like that. So that's kind of where our interest lies, is what happens with the Green Lane landfill.
Okay. Councillor Kohler and then Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Your Worship. I think we can see that we're pretty fortunate that the owners at the time were protective of the municipalities that were using the dump and made sure that we had that provision in there to use it from here on out. And I guess that concerns me a little bit, and if Toronto's looking at that, because when you look at this, it says that, you know, there is feasibility to expand it out to 2060. So if Toronto decided not to do that because the surrounding municipalities still have, as Kevin says, the priority from the purchase agreement, what options would we have at that time? I know they'd still own the property, but it's still showing a feasible location and dump that has the potential to be expanded. So hopefully they do that. And we have 9 years. It says the study takes 5 to 7 to complete. So hopefully we can direct them into that way and we continue to have the site. But as Councillor Wilkie says, definitely no time for panic right now, because we do have the site for another 9 years and lots of potential here.
Kevin, I mean, I'll just ask directly. I think Councillor Kohler just asked if the lifeline or the lifetime of the landfill is extended, are we automatically then grandfathered in to be a user through the rest of that time?
Through the mayor to council, the ECA conditions would be something that we would be circulated on in terms of if there were going to be any changes to that, to give us that type of notice. As you mentioned, it's a 5 to 7 year study to go through that. We would definitely be, you know, at least aware of what's going on and what the City of Toronto staff are thinking in terms of the recommendations. But there are two pieces. One is, how do we extend the existing area, like the capacity within the existing landfill? And then what does an expansion look like afterwards? And whatever waste reduction strategies we can implement, Toronto can implement, and everybody can implement to try to reduce how much needs to go to landfill in the first place.
Great. Councillor Clark?
Thanks. I'd just like us to keep it on our to-do list rather than letting Toronto kind of control the whole thing, because with changes in technology, it'd be interesting to find out with regard to incinerators, how much volume you have to have, or at what point does it become, you know, if we did a cost benefit analysis, at what point does it work in our favor to, you know, perhaps invest in a small incinerator situation where we actually are generating new revenue for the city by making use of our own waste. So I'd like us to keep that in mind as we look forward in our next master plan.
Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor Preston, and to Councillor Clark. We do have an integrated waste management master plan in our to-do list in 2029. So that'll be jive in nicely when the results of the study are done, and so that we can try and forge our own destiny.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Kevin, are we involved at all in the study process that Toronto will be initiating and going through with the Green Lane? Are we also a participant in that study?
Through the mayor, the current study that's underway right now, we are not part of. We're just working with them to understand what, just for information purposes at this point. But Shane and I were talking about, you know, whatever comes out of this updated waste management strategy is likely going to be good for us too. So let them do a lot of the heavy lifting, and that should help us with our integrated waste management plan the following year.
Super. And I guess I want to also follow up on what Councillor Clark just said. Can we leave this on our unfinished business list to visit annually or something, so we remind ourselves within a year to say, hey, where are we on the study? City Manager, can we? Yep. Super. Because I know you have my unfinished business list. Perfect. Any other questions on the Green Lane landfill? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to winter maintenance level of service policy. I have a motion that report ES 2026 relating to winter maintenance level of service policy be received for information, and further that council adopt winter maintenance policy MUN-PW-230 included as attachment 1 to report ES 2026. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for the report, and it's great to see there's a plan when the snow hits us pretty bad, and you're taking the priorities first. But I didn't notice anything. It's no secret that the city is growing. Our subdivisions are growing everywhere around the city. Is there any talk of increasing capital equipment for snowplows, a couple of extra snowplows to get those areas? Because it's great to think it's a simple snow, and then all of a sudden we get high winds and blizzards for 2 days, and then you're in trouble. But is there it's a capital equipment. Is there any suggestion about increasing your snow street cleaning snowplows?
You got that, Kevin?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Preston, to Councillor Herbert. As part of the ongoing DC background study work, we take that into consideration as subdivisions come online and the city grows. What other additional equipment needs would there be in order to service that additional kilometers of road and sidewalk network? So that's captured through the development charge.
You have more?
Yeah, just to follow up. So you're saying that you do look at equipment when the city grows? You think you need more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You do take a look at that. Okay, thank you.
I had a point, and I wanted to say thank you, because I think we're now trying to move the priority up on some of our active transportation trails. And often they were left a little bit behind city sidewalks and roads in winter conditions. And I know that our Parks and Rec people did a lot of work on those. But what I'm happy to hear is we have a lot of people who use our active transportation trails as their way to get to work, whether it's biking, walking, whatever in the winter. So us to move those up on the priorities a little bit, if I'm reading this right, that's what we've done. Right? Because I know I took a few calls this year of, hey, when are you going to do such and such a trail? I use it to get to work, or I ride my bike and it's the only thing I've got. And so I'm glad to see we're moving that up, but that must take a great deal of cooperation between Parks and Rec, who did most of the active transportation trails, and our city works people who did normal sidewalk plowing and street plowing. What type of conversation, or how did we decide how can we move this priority up, and can we share Councillor Herbert's piece? Can we share that equipment back and forth? If a sidewalk plow is going all the way over here, can it do a active transportation trail on the way? I'll take either who wants to add. Take credit, Adrian, go ahead.
Sure, I can answer. Thank you, Mayor Preston. Yes, we've had a good amount of conversation about how we're going to share this activity, because it's new for our department to be able to do this level of snow clearing. But the parks are going to focus on any in-park active transportation trails, and we're going to also clear anything that makes operational sense. It might take some time to figure out what's best for the public and what we need to be clearing through the winter, but we're going to focus on those main areas first, and then that might expand in the future. And then the roads department is going to take anything that's connected to the road. So, and we're going to share, there'll be lots of conversation in the first season about who should be where, but I think it's a good partnership.
So I can blame both?
Yes.
Okay. Just so long as it gets to customer service with the right person, right? All right. Councillor Baldwin-Sands?
Thank you. I'm just reflecting back to about 2010 when we started to talk about the active transportation networks in our community and how we brought them forward to make sure that especially the active transportation network for people to get to work, for people to get to school, et cetera, becomes more of a focus for an equity issue. And I certainly do appreciate the city departments working together and recognizing that the trails are used for those purposes and they are indeed necessary in this community and appreciated. Thank you.
And I agree. We saw this week on some social media some new trails being created with some help from some of the employees from PowerCo, and well, we're really seeing that the active transportation piece going to our industrial park is just as important as it is truly anywhere else. So it's great that we're connecting these now under a priority on snow clearing. Councillor Clark?
Thank you. I'm assuming that a number of the plows and trucks that are out there at different times are third-party contractors, that we probably don't have enough staff to do it all ourselves. And I'm just wondering whether those contracts are done on a yearly basis, or I've had questions in the past on, somebody's new and has a truck and a plow, and can they bid on things? And so I'm just wondering if we could have a little bit of feedback on how those contracts are let.
Who wants it? Go ahead.
Through your worship to Councillor Clark. For on the road, most of them are our plows. There are a couple sections that we do have a contractor do. They use tractors mostly in the smaller areas. So that contract is, we did it for a 5-year, but yearly renew. So it's every year we can renew with another option. That was just tendered last year. It was part of a bigger contract that also included transit stops and a lot of the city housing parking lots as well. So it's on the same thing. So we've tendered it for 5 years, yearly renewal.
Councillor Reimel?
Just to say that it's great to review all these little, all these pieces, how they all fit together, and also having the level of service standard for the snow and ice at the transit stops, because that helps with accessibility as well. So that's great.
Great. Councillor Herbert?
Thank you. I'd like to follow up on Councillor Clark's question about the contracts. Do you have, let's say, for instance, you have 10 companies that you contract out when they're required to come out. Are they paid standby? Are they paid if they don't come out? Or are they just paid when they do come out?
Yes, they do. Or through your worship to Councillor Herbert, they do get paid standby as well. So they are available when we need to call them, whether it's at night or whatever time.
So I just wonder how available they would be if you weren't paying for standby. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried.
Next item relates to municipal tree preservation bylaw 130-2017 updates. I have a motion that report PR 1526 regarding updates to the municipal tree preservation bylaw 130-2017 be received for information, and further that council authorize the preparation of a new bylaw for the proposed amendments to the municipal tree preservation framework as outlined in the draft consolidated bylaw attached to report PR 1526. Moved by Councillor Kohler. Seconded by Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Questions or comments? Councillor Baldwin-Sands, then Councillor Wookie.
Thank you. I have several on this, and I did inform staff that I was going to be presenting a lot of these questions tonight. Before I get started, I just want to footnote on the tree giveaway that happened after our last council meeting. I was wondering if they could provide a quick update on how that tree giveaway went, because it fits very nicely into these two reports.
Okay, so tree preservation and tree giveaway.
Through your worship to Councillor Baldwin-Sands, the tree giveaway was a rising success. We gave away 350 trees in about 24 minutes. We had about 250 residents lined up before our opening at 9 a.m., which was great to see. And switching the location from Pinafore Park, which posed traffic issues, to one password, where there's an in and an out for residents to come in safely, has been an excellent success. It's everyone was happy. It was a beautiful day and just kind of a great way to kick off spring. So we're looking to expand that for next year.
Great. Go ahead. I'm going to let you go until you're done. Then point at Wookie when you're done.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to note, and I appreciate the staff for providing the updates for 2017 and 2021. When I receive concerns from the public in regards to some of our tree canopy, et cetera, it is good to note that these tree preservations for the municipality and for private are out there and are as a good resource for people. I want to note that the update of identifying invasive species in the reports So for all of that, I'm going to ask for a tree planting update, how they're doing in the municipality so far this year as well. And again, commend them for the additional work that they do. And hopefully I can get some feedback on some of the tree planting that is happening for this. And I have one other question about heritage trees, which I told you I was going to ask as well. So thank you.
Through your worship to Councillor Baldwin Sands. Our spring tree planting season is about to kick off. I believe our contractor is going to be in St. Thomas sometime this month. This spring season, we are planning to plant, I believe, in the range of 80 to 90 caliper trees. So that's about 40 millimeter caliper trees, so pretty significant stock. Largely, they're going to be planted this spring along the where the Fairview Bridge was removed. They're going to be about 60 trees going in that location alone, down into the ravine side towards Briarwood. Moving into the fall, we've got a similar sized tree planting program as well, where in the fall we focus the majority of the tree planting efforts on replacing trees that were removed. On top of that, we have approximately 800 seedlings that we plant throughout the city. We planted some potted trees, about 66 trees that Councillor Wookie is aware of, in an area that we've removed a lot of invasive species in Pinafore Park woodlot that backed onto residential housing. And there was some concern about opening up the space too much, so we planted 66 local native shrubs and trees in that location as well.
Good.
And the heritage trees.
Through your worship to Councillor Baldwin Sands, the heritage trees, if you're referring to the heritage plaques that are located on the trees, that was a program from a volunteer group in the 90s. It was never actually affiliated with the city. I know that the local Naturalist Club has taken over the efforts of maintaining that and updating the database. As of about 2 weeks ago, it seems like their association with that program seems to be fading with lack of volunteers. That's something that, as a municipality and as an arborist by trade, something that I'd be interested in providing support for to continue the program on.
Go ahead.
And my last question, how is this new program for the municipal trees and the next private trees preservation bylaw? Because we talked that it's one of your common phone calls that you receive in your department. It's something that I receive quite a few of the public reaching out and asking questions about trees and how they're being cut down, et cetera, and what we're doing to replace them, et cetera. How is this and the next report going to be communicated out to the public so that it's easy and accessible for everybody to see that we are very devoted to the tree canopy in this community? Thank you. That's my last one. Next to you, Wookie.
Through your worship to Councillor Baldwin Sands, I was in conversation with our urban foresters this morning, actually, about communicating these changes. In the reports, you can see how they were summarized. The updates are summarized. That's something we can talk to our communications team to get those updates out as soon as they're officially confirmed.
Super. Councillor Wookie.
Thanks, Your Worship. More comments than questions. I remember when we started with the tree bylaw in the first place, and it was a paradigm shift for the entire city. And I want to congratulate us for doing it, because it was aggressive, and you need to be aggressive to protect what we have. And we kind of took it, sometimes we take it in the chin a little bit, both staff and councilors take it on the chin regarding these things, because it's like when roundabouts started, and people are all wound up about roundabouts. But people have gotten used to this. And I think it's a great time now to do some modifications to it, to streamline it and make it more effective, essentially. And when I saw the eligible list of replacement, for replacements, the trees we want to get rid of, I appreciate that, because one of my kind of bad jokes with you, Adrian, is that not all trees are created equally, right? Like there's some trees, we don't necessarily want. Of course, I want more shagbark hickories, but anyway, that's just me. But it's really good to see it that we're really finessing this and getting it and changing, things that are abutting to private property. And over time, we're making this work much better, so that, of course, the definition of leadership is planting a tree in whose shade you will never sit, right? And I think that we're doing that. And I'm proud of what we've done, and I thank you for it, because I think that we are, you know, just little bit by little bit, we're moving to make it a much healthier environment in the city. So thank you.
Adrian?
Just through your worship to council, I just wanted to make a note that one of the more important changes to the private tree bylaw and something that we're practicing through the municipal tree bylaw is that we're asking residents to refrain from pruning oaks during the months of April to November in order to hopefully prevent the spread of oak wilt disease, which is not in this area yet. And we are one of the first communities to implement this in our bylaws. But we know that it's on the horizon. There are some cases in Ontario. So not pruning during those months allows for the spores not to get into the tree. So we only prune oaks during the winter months from November to April. It will be an education-based conversation with the public if we happen to catch them doing it, just to get the knowledge out there that we really want to protect these important species.
So will we be using some social media outreach on that topic too?
Yes, and we have been doing that for the last few years, but now it is in our bylaw to make sure that we can, you know, refer back to that if the public's looking for that information.
Very thorough. Excellent. Further questions, Councillor Kohler? You know, you're just not far enough ahead of me for me to see your hand up.
Yeah. Thanks, Your Worship. I was going to talk to the education piece, and Adrian just put that in there because I know that's one of the biggest things, especially with the new one there, because a lot of people still trim city trees thinking that they have to because they can't call the city and that they really shouldn't be trimming it. So it's that education piece that gets out, and I support pretty much all the changes, like on the tracking, track the changes like that. But I'm just wondering, 2 of 20. Why we would add the part where it says immediate danger instead of just leaving it as danger, because I don't know if we're trying to prolong the thing, because at the end of the day, I've seen where we thought, well, the tree's not quite posing a danger, but then the next windstorm comes and that falls down right on the sidewalk, right? So I don't know why we would want to add that in there, immediate danger, instead of just leaving it as danger, because if it's at a condition where it's possibly going to be a danger to the community, why don't we address it before it becomes an immediate one and just maybe falls down anyways? That's my concern there, because I've seen us kind of go behind that before, and I at the end of the day, if the tree's getting into a condition where it should be addressed, we should maybe address it ahead of time instead of putting ourselves in liability situation.
Through your worship to Councillor Kohler, thank you for that comment. When we refer to immediate danger, are you looking at the private tree bylaw?
The one that we're looking at now, and it's the tracked changes, the other attachment that's in there, and it's page 2 of 20.
Okay, if it's in, so anything that is in anything that is in danger in the municipal bylaw, we're obviously going to take care of as quickly as we can. Our contractor is on call for 24 hours, so he has to respond to any of our immediate dangers very quickly, and that includes weekends, holidays, so they're always available to us. When it speaks to the private tree bylaw, if we're talking about immediate danger in there, that gives people the permission to remove the tree and apply for the permit afterwards, knowing that there was an immediate danger. We just, you know, it's very obvious when there is an immediate danger with a tree, and if we can have time to assess the permit and then issue it, we're very quick to turn those around. But we want to give the public some ability to be able to do that first and then talk to us later. There's not going to be any sort of, you know, penalty if they react that way. But we also, when it comes to a danger, the difference between a skilled arborist determining what a danger is versus somebody who's not trained in it, that might be where it gets a bit sticky. So we just want to make sure that, you know, if you feel like you need to take care of it right away, go ahead and then deal with the permit process afterwards. But if it can wait till Monday, get in touch with us and we can certainly be there the same day to deal with it if you think that there's an immediate danger outside of that. So, and any of these requests can come through the customer service desk to get to staff quickly.
You mean it doesn't have to come through the mayor or councillor? Sorry, that was very facetious. Please use your customer service as your best method to reach city departments.
But just to clarify that, because that's what you said there is so who's going to interpret it if it's immediate danger or just a danger? That's the thing. Like, I don't want to put people in a situation where in their mind it was immediate, so they go and do it. And then somebody else seems to think that it might not have been immediate, right? Like, so that's my only concern if we're wording it like that, if it.
And I think if there's any just any problem with the staff in determining that, I mean, we're going to work with the homeowner. There isn't going to be a penalty. So we just want to make sure that people are at least going through the process and that they're communicating with our department.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. All right, so that was on the tree preservation. Now we go to the private tree preservation.
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. So the next item is to the private tree preservation bylaw 101-2021. I have a motion that report PR 1626 regarding updates to the private tree preservation bylaw 101-2021 be received for information, and further that council authorize the preparation of a new bylaw for the proposed amendments to the private tree preservation bylaw as outlined in the draft consolidated bylaw attached to report PR 1626. Moved by Councillor Herbert, seconded by Councillor Taylor.
Okay, questions or comments? And many of them were asked in the under our preservation bylaw, but if there's any others that are just under the private, let us know. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. That's a really good improvement to our tree preservation. So perfect.
Unless there are any further items from the members under this committee, we will now move into corporate governance and administration. First item relates to the Downtown Development Board 2026 budget and levy. I have a motion that report TR-10-26 relating to the Downtown Development Board 2026 budget and levy be received for information. And further, that council authorize the preparation of a bylaw to approve the business improvement area budget and to levy a special charge for the 2026 fiscal year. And further, that council direct administration to work in consultation with the Downtown Development Board to undertake a review of the business improvement area levy framework, including prescribed classes, contribution thresholds, and boundary considerations, and to report back to council with findings and recommendations for consideration in advance of the next budget cycle. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Raimo.
Questions or comments? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. As chair of the Downtown Development Board for 10 years, the latest, wow, this was an amazing report. I really appreciate this. I thank the treasurer Adam for doing this. It opened my eyes. We had a bit of a DDB meeting last week and talked a little bit about this, and everybody was amazed that this had gone on for so long and we missed it. So thanks to Adam for bringing this forward, believing that this has not been looked at for 40 years. So thanks, Adam, as I mentioned. But changing the cap, right now there's $1,100 cap. Changing that is a good idea. 40 years ago, $1,100 is completely different than what it is today. Changing the cap for properties with multiple businesses. Right now we have, for example, and adding in properties like the Canron, the old Canron site is not actually in our downtown.
Right.
Maybe Adam should be talking to all this. I'm not sure. But anyway, adding that in would be a really good idea. And then to find out that vacant commercial properties were never levied, that just blew us away. So again, thanks very much for identifying that and the work that's going to go along in the consultation with the Downtown Development Board to try to put together a better way of sharing the load. I guess that's an easy way to say it, sharing the loads, because our Downtown Development Board does, in my view, not just a biased view, but a phenomenal job of making our downtown St. Thomas the place to be. Love Where You Shop. I don't know if you've heard that song on the radio. I wrote the lyrics to that song. You may not have known that.
Do you get a royalty?
I don't get a royalty.
Oh. Maybe we can put that
into the music and I wrote the lyrics. But anyway, I wouldn't mind next year. I'm going to, whether it goes on to a future agenda or whatever, but I'd really like to see the city jump in a little bit. the Downtown Development Board does a great job through the summer of keeping our sidewalks clean, and it's part of our part of the levy money that we spend. But the other 10 months of the year, things happen in our downtown. I wouldn't mind if next year the downtown budget included a couple of people that actually spent time in the downtown, whether it be a couple hours every morning or whatever, keeping our sidewalks clean, picking up, just doing a pass through the downtown, and maybe taking a better look at our garbage and recycling system, as well as in order to make our downtown a safer shopping environment for people to come to St. Thomas and enjoy. So the banners just went up, the Christmas decorations just came down just in time. And I do think
It changed the weather, just taking down the snowflakes.
Exactly, but it has opened up our eyes as to something that hasn't been done for the past 40 years. I do want to thank Treasury and Adam specifically for this report, and where we're going from here is phenomenal. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Councillor Gibson, but yeah, go to Councillor Gibson first.
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree with Councillor Taylor. This is outstanding. I had 5 phone calls or text messages from people who said they really understand what the DDB does and where they spend their money, because they often question it, because, you know, we do get some of those Facebook posts where they're saying, oh, it's so messy down here and no one's doing anything. This shows what's being done, and I certainly appreciate what the DDB does for the city of St. Thomas. Thank you, Adam, for the report. I was very impressed, and it made I myself was able to understand a little more of what the DDB was about. We all know something, but maybe not always enough, and I surely did learn a whole lot. And I also agree with Councillor Taylor about the little sweep over and another look at the recycling and garbage pickup that we have on Talbot Street. Thank you.
Mr. Treasurer, do you have anything? I mean, it's your report. It's as both have said, an excellent way of kind of reminding us what else has to happen in the DDB. I take it you're going to work through the DDB on some of these changes that may or may not, but certainly look like they should. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about your report?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have much to add. I will be attending the next DDB meeting to speak with the board about the contents of this report. I suspect that there is significant alignment between the city and the DDB on the changes that I'll be proposing through this report. Right. So we can look forward to some action in the near future, I believe.
Super. Further questions or comments? Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Mine is a comment. When that does happen, if you could, Councillor Taylor, and to the treasurer, thank you again for a very wonderful report, but it really does shine the light on what the DDB does to drive people to our downtown. Mm-hmm. And some of them are very incredibly cost effective with the number of people that we have come to our downtown for some of the events. So kudos to you, Councillor Taylor, and kudos to our treasurer for bringing forward a wonderful report. Thank you.
Great. Perfect. Councillor Raimel.
Yeah, it's a great report, and it's great to reevaluate everything. And I just wondered, for the treasurer, how do tax exempt properties in the Downtown Development Board, how does that work?
Tax exempt properties do not share in the DDB levy, neither do residential or multi-residential properties. The only allowable properties under the Municipal Act are commercial and industrial.
And I mean, I was surprised when I went through this, and even in a conversation today with the city manager, about that we still had some of our businesses, certainly empty businesses, that are exempt from the DDB levy. This council a number of years ago said we got to quit exempting empty business. We want to force them to occupy the places. And so we made sure that they were paying city taxes, but we didn't change the exemption they had in the DDB of not paying that piece of levy. So I don't want anybody to think there's people out there not paying taxes on empty buildings. It's simply they weren't paying the levy part of the DDB. But we're going to get that pretty quickly. That's one that I'd like to see us really look forward to. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to the Building Permit Stabilization Reserve Fund. I have a motion that report TR 1126 relating to Building Permit Stabilization Reserve Fund be received for information, and further that staff be directed to undertake a review of the city's building permit fees and report back to council with findings and recommendations. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Great. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried.
Next item relates to the 2026 provincial gas tax. I have a motion that report TR 1226 relating to 2026 provincial gas tax be received for information, and further that council authorize the mayor and clerk to sign a letter of agreement with the Ministry of Transportation for the transfer of provincial gas tax funding to the city for the 2025-2026 entitlement year. Moved by Councillor Rymal, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
That concludes the items unless there are any further items from the members under that committee. Seeing none, council will now reconvene into regular session. I have a motion that the recommendations, directions, and actions of council and committee of the whole as recorded in the minutes of this date be confirmed, ratified, and adopted. Moved by Councillor Baldwin Sands, seconded by Councillor Rymal.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried.
No reports of committees this evening, Your Worship. We'll now move into communications. First item relates to a jumbo lighting request for Brain Tumor Awareness Month. I have a motion that the jumbo monument be lit in orange from May 17th to 19th, 2026 in recognition of Brain Tumor Awareness Month. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried.
Next item relates to a request to be a municipally significant event for the Railway City Music and Art Festival being held August 13th to 16th, 2026. I have a motion that Council of the City of St. Thomas declare the Railway City and Arts Music Festival 4-day event in Pinafore Park from August 13th to 16th, 2026, a municipally significant event. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Wookie.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item is a request for a letter of no objection relating to the temporary extension of liquor license at Bella Jack's Mexican Cantina at 437 Talbot Street. I have a motion that Council of the City of St. Thomas has no objection to the proposed extended licensed area from May 5th to October 15th, 2026 at Bella Jack's Mexican Cantina located at 437 Talbot Street in St. Thomas. Moved by Councillor Baldwin Sands, seconded by Councillor Rymal.
Questions or comments? Councillor Herbert?
Thank you, Worship. So there's more than one outlet in St. Thomas. Does every outlet have to apply for it, or is this set the precedent that they can have that? Does each?
We have passed in the past an automatic cafe situation, but a licensed restaurant has to ask for the piece.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Taylor?
I'm glad that Rob Fairfield, owner of Bella Jack's, is bringing his patio back onto the street. This was opened up. A number of any of the businesses downtown had the ability to do this. And if you remember a few years ago, we maybe had 4, 5, or 6 patios on the sidewalks. But I encourage any of the businesses in our downtown to really think about this. Getting out in front of your store when people drive by or walk by, they will see you be a little more visible, but all of the other patios are on self-contained properties. So this is the only one that's taking up space on a municipal property. So our downtown development board, again, another, we actually purchased the fencing that goes around this facility. And if I'm not mistaken, I see Sean is online here, but I think we still have a bit of an input as to install and uninstall of it. So. Thank you.
I'd like to point out to Rob, thank you to get it online. It looks like for May 5th for Cinco de Mayo for tomorrow. Good work to get it to the agenda by tonight. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item in communications is a letter received from the Royal Canadian Legion, Lord Elgin Branch 41, requesting the placement of poppy blankets on benches at the Veterans Memorial Garden. And just for the members' information, the request for a blanket on the handrail at City Hall could not be accommodated due to safety concerns. But I have a motion that Council of the City of St. Thomas has no objection to the proposed placement of poppy blankets on the benches at the Veterans Memorial Garden the week of Remembrance Day 2026. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to a letter received from Megan Leachty and Wendy McMillan, Elgin St. Thomas Age-Friendly Committee, requesting a deputation before council to present the 2026 Elgin St. Thomas Age-Friendly Community Strategy. Based on a change to council procedural bylaw last year, I have a motion ready if the members would like to receive the presentation. If not, it would be received for information right now.
And as you'll remember, last year we said, as a way of dealing with presentations to council, that send us a report of the information you'd like us to see. If we would like more, the council will then vote that night to decide to have a deputation. So we're at that point on this one. Are we happy with the information that was given to us, or do we need a further presentation to council? There'd be a mover and seconder needed to ask for them to come. Seeing none, then I'll move it on. We'll thank them for their information and tell them that we can request in the future should we need more.
Thanks, Your Worship. Next few items for information. Canada's Volunteer Awards. A letter has been received from Employment and Social Development Canada regarding Canada's Volunteer Awards. More information is available on the federal government's website. The deadline for nominations is June 17th, 2026. Next item, a letter has been received from the Honorable Gregor Robinson, Minister of Housing and Infrastructure and Minister responsible for Pacific Economic Development Canada regarding brownfield remediation.
If I can just speak to that very quickly, this is another letter that we've sent to anybody we can about brownfield remediation in our community, both public and private. This is a response back from the federal government saying, thanks for asking.
Next item, letter has been received from the Director of Environmental Assessment Modernization Branch, Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, regarding proposed amendments to the comprehensive environmental assessment process under the Environmental Assessment Act. And the last item for the members' information, notice has been received from the Ontario Energy Board of an extension of the intervention deadline relating to the model franchise agreement review, which was until May 1st, 2026. Unless there are any items from the members under communications.
Go ahead.
On Friday, May the 1st, I had an opportunity to be out at Sky Chase Winery on behalf of the Health Recruitment Partnership. And at that event, we welcomed new doctors to the community as well as existing doctors in order to say thank you. It is a recognition day for doctors in the community, and throughout the month there is also other community members who are involved in healthcare that will be recognized as well. They're called Healthcare Recognition Days. And we had a wonderful evening of relaxed and communicating out. I would like to thank Councillor Taylor for his attendance and to yourself as well. And I was hoping you would be able to provide comments and then ask our city manager to have comments to the program as well. Thank you.
I'll certainly thank the Physician Recruitment Committee. I know we sit on it, but it is great when we can hold an event to recognize existing physicians in our community, but also new ones. And so it's great to be in a room where you sometimes don't know who the new doctors are. And so you get to say, but it was an excellent event. And we're doing this, and I thank Councillor Baldwin-Sands, the chair of the committee, that we're doing this more often. And doctors are starting to feel like a bit of a club in our community. They're getting to know each other more. Talking to Dr. Scott that night, it isn't always. I mean, we all go to work and we tend to talk to who we work with, but I think there's some assumption that all doctors know each other. And that's not the case. But it makes for a far better medical group in our community if we get them together once in a while so they can talk about their own practices and where they're located and what they've been talking about. So I thank you, Councillor Baldwin-Sands and the city manager, for really moving us forward on what seems to be quite a good year and a bit of attracting new physicians to our community. And it's great to recommend. Go ahead, City Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Council, I will also share that at the event on Friday, our recruiter indicated that there are 6 physicians that are planning to come to our community this year. I've met 2 of them so far, both arriving from the United Kingdom, spoke with one today, and they'll actually be arriving in our community on May 19th. So they are actively looking for patients, and you can find their information online at the Thompson Medical Center.
Councillor Herbert on that?
Yep, thank you. I believe the new physicians are moving into Elmdale. There's 6 empty offices there when the 6 moved on to another area, so that's where they're going to relocate.
Well, we've got a couple of new relocation places for doctors coming to our community, and they're happy to be able to work together with each other. So it's incredible, right? That right now it seems like we're really fishing and catching. So it's a great thing. Councillor Herbert?
Just to follow up on that question, are we basically recruiting general physicians, GPs, or is there surgeons or specialists that we're looking at coming, or?
Who wants that? City Manager?
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Herbert. The Health Recruitment Partnership is focused on family physicians, so general family practitioners. Our incentive is to provide for that group. The hospital and other health organizations focus on the specialists.
But that's not to say there's not some crossover. We hear of an obstetrician who wants to come here. We're going to share that with the hospital and others too, and vice versa also happens. Councillor Baldwin Sands on that?
Thank you. I was just about to say exactly the same thing, that when they do reach out, they reach out to me as the chair, they reach out to our health recruiter, they reach out to city management. But that's what we do is we created a navigational system that we all are communicating directly with each other in order so that we all have an opportunity to win.
That's quite successful right now. Thank you. Any other, okay, we have unfinished business first, right?
Thanks, Your Worship. Yes, if there's no further communications, we have unfinished business.
Seeing none?
Seeing none. Any new business?
Any new business from any of the members? Nice to see a spring day. And I'll just leave it at that. We'll see if we see one tomorrow.
Thanks, Your Worship. There's no public notice or notices of motion this evening, but there is a need to go into closed session. I have a motion that this meeting be closed to deal with a proposed or pending disposition of land and a personal matter about an identifiable individual. Moved by Councillor Herbert, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments on closed session? I'll remind our folks in the gallery and those watching from home that we will now be going into closed session. We'll rise from closed session to come back and vote on the things that if there was a vote needed from closed session, and to finish our day on bylaws and then adjourn. So we will not be coming back to the public. We thank you for being here today, and all those in favor. Are there any opposed? That's carried. We are in closed session.
Your Worship, I have a motion that council now rise from closed session. Moved by Councillor Wookie, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor. Are there any opposed? We are carried. We're now open.
Item arising at a closed session, we have a committee appointment for the St. Thomas Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee. I have a motion that council appoint Aaron Beecroft to the St. Thomas Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee for the remainder of the council term, subject to policy HR 0229 and the required accessibility training. Moved by Councillor Wookie, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor. Any opposed? Carried.
Next, we move into bylaws. I have a motion that leave be granted to bring in the bylaws. Moved by Councillor Baldwin Sin, seconded by Councillor Reimel.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor. Any opposed? Carried.
I have a motion by Councillor Baldwin Sin, seconded by Councillor Reimel, that the bylaws be now read a first time, referred to committee of the whole, and read a second time.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor. Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Clerk. May I have the first bylaw?
First bylaw is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on May 4th, 2026.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next bylaw?
Second bylaw is a bylaw to rescind bylaw 171-2002, being a bylaw to prescribe the form and manner and times for the provision of notice.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please. Thank you.
Third bylaw is a bylaw to approve the business improvement area budget and to levy a special charge for the 2026 fiscal year.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Next bylaw.
Fourth bylaw is a bylaw to temporarily remove certain lands from part lot control. This is lots 1 to 7, 14 to 15, and 21 to 26 on Plan 11M278 relating to file PLC 0226 Miller's Pond Phase 6.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw.
Fifth bylaw is a bylaw to establish certain site plan control operations under Section 41 of the Planning Act.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please.
Sixth bylaw is a bylaw to amend bylaw 50-88, being the zoning bylaw for the city of St. Thomas. This is to permit a residential development consisting of 2 townhouse blocks and 1 block of stacked townhouses on Center Street by Matthew Janes Consulting Limited related to file number 2-03-26.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please.
Seventh bylaw is a bylaw to amend bylaw 94-2025, being a bylaw to impose and consolidate various fees and charges with respect to environmental and infrastructure services matters. This is to update the water supply monthly base charge.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those approved? Opposed? Carried. Last and final, eighth bylaw.
The eighth and final bylaw is a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute and affix the seal of the corporation to a certain agreement between the Corporation of the City of St. Thomas and His Majesty the King in right of the Province of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Transportation. This relates to the 2026 gas tax funding public transportation program.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And rise to report the success passing of the eighth bylaws.
Okay, I have a motion by Councillor Baldwin-Sands, seconded by Councillor Reimel, that the report of Council and Committee of the Whole on the following bylaws be received and adopted. The same be read a third time, engrossed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried.
At this time, Your Worship, there's no further items for council. I have a motion for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Reimel.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That is carried. We are adjourned.